Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're showing off this G1 Swoop that he built out of Lego. So here's Swoop in his dinosaur mode, and I guess that it's alright. I based it off of his cartoon model, so that's why the proportions might be the way they are. But overall, I think he turned out okay. I don't really like these exposed studs on his wings, but I couldn't really do anything else about them to get rid of them. No, but yeah, I've always thought that his alt mode looked was a bit more like a drone or like a plane because of his giant engines on the back and also the missile pods. But I guess it's supposed to be pterodactyl, so that's his alternate mode. Also, from the bottom, it just kind of looks like his robot mode folded up a bit. So for accessories that work in this mode, he has his sword. I just took Grimlock's sword and just replaced the bottom 1x2 plate with the clip and attached a bar here. But you can store it in this mode just by attaching it to to one of the studs on the wings here like this. So there's Swoop with the sword stored in his dinosaur mode. Also, I guess it kind of has some articulation. The head can rotate up and down. You can also break his head in half because of how it transforms. The wings can rotate in and out on these studs at the shoulders, and then they can also rotate up and down about 90 degrees like this. And then the wingtips can also swivel like this on studs. So he doesn't really have a lot of articulation in this mode, but I think he has enough for him to have some flying poses like this. Also, you can probably stand him up like this on his hind legs, but it kind of needs support in the back for the engines. I didn't really build him to be able to stand up, but I guess he kind of can, or he kind of falls back. So there's Swoop kind of standing up. But overall, that's about it for Swoop's dinosaur mode. Now, it's kind of delicate, because a lot of the parts here are only held on by one stud each, but I think it mostly works out fine. So to transform Swoop, the first thing I want to do is take this whole head section and rotate it down, and it'll all fold into the chest like this. And then for the legs, you just want to rotate them down at the knees, and then rotate down these joints in the middles of the legs, and then rotate down the foot like this at the end, like this. So do the same on the other side, so rotate this down, rotate down this foot part, or rotate down the knee part, and then rotate down the foot like this. And then there's both of Swoop's legs done. So you can just stand them up like this. So after that, for his arms, you just want to rotate the wings out of the way to get them out of the way. And then you want to rotate them out on the studs, rotate around the fists, or rotate around the hands. So just rotate his hands around like this, and extend his arms out. And then for the wings, you just want to rotate them back forward, rotate the wingtips in like this. Sorry if they fall off. This part's kind of old, so its clutch power might be a bit weird. You can see it's kind of yellowed. And then there's Swoop in his robot mode. His transformation is pretty simple, but I guess most Swoops are like that, so I guess it works fine. So here's Swoop in his robot mode, and overall I think he turned out pretty well. I kind of based him off of his cartoon model, so that's why he might be a bit skinny. But overall I think he looks okay. He's a lot skinnier than some of my other Dinobots. And for his shoulders, I reused a technique that I used a few times in the past, but this is my first time using it recently, so I guess that's a new technique that I haven't used in a while. No, but yeah, that's a back view of him. Overall, that's his robot mode. Out of all my Dinobots, he's probably my least favorite because his transformation just kind of simple. For accessories, he has a sword, so this is a sword that he had in his dinosaur mode, so he can just hold it in his hand like this. So there's Swoop with his sword, if it doesn't fall apart. So there's Swoop with the sword. Swoop, also, I didn't build him a gun, but I guess you can just take one of his missile pods and attach it to the top of his hand like this. So I guess you can kind of use this as a gun for Swoop. I guess you can kind of use one of his missile pods as a gun for Swoop. So there's Swoop with the gun. It kind of resembles how he had a gun in the toy, but it's not really intended to do that. It was just kind of a coincidence. So you can just take off his gun. No, but for articulation in Swoop's robot mode, his head can rotate on a stud. It's just on a stud, but it's kind of limited by this clip that attaches the rest of his head to the rest of his torso. His shoulders, or his wings, can rotate in and out like this, and they can also rotate up and down because of the joints from his dinosaur mode. His shoulders can rotate 360 degrees, but they get in the way of the wings. They can rotate outward a lot on studs from the technique that I used earlier. The elbows can bend a bit, they can just bend 90 degrees. And then the biceps can rotate. They can probably rotate 360 degrees, but they're limited. You could probably have a waist rotation, but it kind of gets in the way of the backpack. And then his hips, it's easier if you rotate this section up, but his hips can rotate forward and back, but it's kind of limited, or it's just kind of hard because this part that he used for his crotch is kind of old, so the clutch power is kind of tight, so his hips are kind of hard to move. Also, his hips can also rotate outward a lot. It's about as much as some of my other Transformers. His knees can also bend a bit over 90 degrees, like this, and then his knees can also swivel at the knees like this. And then the toes can also rotate up and down like this. So that's Swoop's articulation. His articulation is pretty standard for my Transformers, but I guess he's a bit better than some of my other Transformers because he has knee rotations and also bicep rotations. So I'll just give him back his sword. So for size comparisons, here's Swoop with Grimlock. I haven't shown these two together yet. So here they are with Grimlock. He's a bit shorter. It's probably about a plate shorter, but I think they scale well enough together because Swoop is always smaller than the other Dinobots. And also here is with the minifigure. I forgot to get him out. I had to get him from my desk. So there's Swoop and Grimlock with the minifigure. So that's how Swoop scales with everything else. Yeah, that's Swoop's robot mode. But overall, that's about it for Swoop. I'm mostly happy with how he turned out, but I think out of all my Dinobots, he's probably my least favorite. Just because his transformation's not very interesting, and it's kind of simple, and also he's a bit smaller than all the rest of them. But overall, I'm mostly happy with how he turned out, and I think that he's a decent placeholder for a Swoop in my collection. But yeah, I'll probably have the rest of the Dinobots out in the next few months. And also, they probably won't combine because I just don't really want to have them combined. But yeah, that's about it for this video. Bye.